You want to listen to a podcast?
By who?
Georgia GOP Congressman Doug Collins.
How is it?
The greatest thing I have ever heard in my whole life.
I could not believe my ears.
In this house, wherever the rules are disregarded, chaos and mob rule. It has been said today, where is bravery? I'll tell you where bravery is found and courage is found. It's found in this minority who has lived through the last year of nothing but rules being broken, people being put down, questions not being answered. And this majority say, be damned with anything else. We're going to impeach and do whatever we want to do. Why? Because we won an election. I guarantee you, one day you'll be back in the minority and it ain't going to be that fun. Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Glad to have you here on the Monday, a sober Monday. This is the 3-year anniversary of our Americans who were killed in Afghanistan, the Abbey Gate disaster that came out of the Joe Biden administration, warning to rush our withdrawal from Afghanistan 3 years ago, trying to make it happen before the 20th anniversary of, getting us in and out of Afghanistan, which President Trump had already started, but we're doing so, frankly, with honor. We did it on a political time frame. It ended up costing 13 American lives, and we abandoned many, many more over there. So, again, we're going to talk about this a little bit after the break today. A very stunning reminder of who and what we're talking about when it comes to November election. So stick with us. We'll be right back. You might have heard Mike Lindell and MyPillow no longer have the support of the box stores or the shopping channels as the way they used to. They've been part of the cancel culture, so they want to pass the savings directly on to you by having a $25 extravaganza. When Mike started MyPillow, it was just one product company. With the help of his dedicated employees, they now have hundreds of products. Some of you may not even know about that. So to get the word out, I want to invite my listeners to check out the $25 extravaganza. 2-pack multi-pillow use MyPillows are just $25. MyPillow sandals, $25. There's 6-pack of towel sets, $25. Brand new 4-pack dish towels. You guessed it, just $25. And for the first time ever, the MyPillows with all new Giza fabric, just $25. All orders over $75 will see free shipping too. This amazing offer won't last long, so go to mypillow.com and use the promo code Collins, that's COLLINS, or call 800-986-3994 today. That's promo code Collins. Hey, inflation's at a 40-year high. The stock market looks more uncertain than ever. The new central bank digital currency is on its way and could be the government's ultimate surveillance tool against Americans. It looks like the government is playing games with your savings and retirement. So what are you going to do to help protect yourself? Did you know that you can have physical gold and silver into your IRA or 401k with zero tax or penalties? Millions of Americans are doing this right now for protection, and you should think about it too. A company I trust and recommend is Preserve Gold. They will go all over your options and make sure the process of acquiring precious metals is simple and easy. So if you're looking to help protect your retirement with a trustworthy company, request your free investment guide from the experts at Preserve Gold. Preserve Gold is accredited by the Better Business Bureau, and they have hundreds of 5-star reviews, so you know that you're in good hands. Just text Collins, COLLINS, to 50505. And an exclusive offer for my listeners, they'll get up to $15,000 in free gold and silver with a qualifying purchase on a retirement account rollover. So don't wait. Text Collins to 50505 today and get your free gold and silver investment guide and take the first step. Again, text Collins to 50505 to get your free guide from the good people at Preserve Gold. All right, let's talk about this. Probably not going to be long today. It's Monday. We got to get out there and get at it. I will say several things about this. Today, there could be no more of a stark reminder of the sacrifices paid by American troops in the last days of the Afghanistan war than the rushed decision by Joe Biden to leave equipment, leave bases, leave everything. And then also we left a lot of people behind who depended upon us, who had promises from us, who are now been killed, maimed, mutilated, raped, destroyed by the Taliban. And, look, I said it then, as we started the podcast, because that was just a little bit before I started this podcast. And I've talked about it ever since, that the issue in Afghanistan is one that I believe triggered a lot more issues in the world. And it was the, I think, rushed decision by Joe Biden to decide that we're going to be out by September 11th, 2021, that made a lot of bad decisions worse. And look, there was a lot of things to think about in the prior time, in the prior 18 months, I believe it was, before Donald Trump left office. We lost no one in Afghanistan. And then afterwards, it began to pick up again. And then, of course, led to a tragic ending. Now, the things that I want us to understand is rarely, and I say this because people are many times more of a passerby, consumer, low information kind of voter. They look at the things that are right there affecting them at the moment, and that's what decides races on all levels, from counties up to presidential level. And rarely does a national kind of or an international incident actually prepare the voter to vote for or against someone. But I do believe that Afghanistan is going to become more prominent in the weeks ahead, and there's getting fewer of those. Can you believe it? We're only 70 something days, roughly 70 days away from the election. We're less than 2 weeks away from ballots being cast in North Carolina. We're less than almost 40 something days, 50 something days in Georgia before early ballots go out. We have similar things around the country you'll want to know about. Where you're at. Find out if you've not registered to vote. Make sure you get registered to vote. There's deadlines coming up. You need to get out there, conservatives, and do so. And if anybody are out there and you're listening to this podcast, or you're listening to, or you're talking, and I see you on Twitter, or I see you on Instagram, and you're making political statements and you don't vote, please do the world a favor and quit. Okay, I don't want to hear from you. You lose your opportunity, in my eyes, as someone who served for 23 years, who's watched and been with people who've died, and for this country over 200 plus years, for your right to vote and the struggle to vote. And that is the main thing that keeps this country together. And you choose not to, but yet you're pontificating wildly about politics. Then do the world a favor and shut up. Okay, just plain and simple. I don't want to hear from you. You can go on to DougConnellsPodcast.com, hit that email button, and you can gripe to your little heart's content, because I don't care. Vote. My vote may not count. Well, it's definitely not going to count if you don't go vote. And I know many states have now done stuff like Georgia and others to make sure that the vote is going to be safe. We're going to have watchers. We're going to have all that kind of stuff. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, both of them, he was running his campaign, the other one while she's running her campaign, are dependent upon people who are not, frankly, together enough to understand that voting is what matters. They're going to depend on people that they can haul to the polling place and get to vote. They're going to be dependent on low information voters who says, what can the government give me? And I'll go vote many times. Or what will you take away from me? Where they try to throw up the straw mans of abortions and everything else. And look, the problem is here is Republicans, you got to get out and vote. Hunters, you got to get out and vote. We've talked about it here, Hunter Nation on this podcast. We've talked to the guys out there. We've talked to our Second Amendment folks, our suppressor folks. These are folks. Look, it's amazing to me how many gun owners who are conservative don't vote. It's amazing to me how many hunters who are conservative, they don't vote. Folks, you got to get out and vote. And today, on a remembrance of 3 years of the sacrifice of 13 individuals in Afghanistan because Biden wanted a political headline, is just something you can't forget. And I believe it actually started an even further downfall as we go. So as we look at this going forward, the issue with Afghanistan is bigger than just what happened at that gate. The issue actually started in motion what we are now in the world we're currently living in. And because of Joe Biden's bad foreign affairs decisions and Kamala Harris's willingness to go along and basically support every bad decision Joe Biden's administration has put up with, then you understand why we have the situation in the world that we do. Because when the world looked at what we did, the first off is I've still yet to understand why military commanders have not been, reprimanded or fired because of what they did. Look, a Navy captain in a ship can have a minor accident on a pier or with others, and they're immediately removed from command. We gave up willingly Bagram Air Force Base, which I still have no idea why we would do that. Gave it up and moved into Kabul, in a very crowded downtown area in which insurgents and Taliban, poured in, and the world could see what was happening, how fast the country was collapsing. And we give up our stronghold at Bagram Air Force Base, in which we could have probably got not only people out, but equipment out, and had a much better security situation than we did in a downtown city area. But for some reason, and I think the reason is political, it's just the way it appears, to get that magic September 11th date, we then moved it up and we started trying to get everybody out. Now, without any thought process or anything else of the people we made promises to, the people that we cared about, the interpreters, the translators, the doctors, the family, the homes that had been opened to coalition forces, American forces, and all of a sudden we were just dropping it like it didn't matter anymore. It reminds me of the way this administration treats the folks coming across the border. They don't care that once they get here, they're going to put them wherever they want to, and they're going to give them housing or hotel allowances or whatever, and they're going to do all that support. But before they get there, because it is so easy for them to be tempted and allured into the thinking that America is going to be the freedom and everything that they look for, and the extra hope, that they're willing to let them be abused by cartel members, and then we actually finish the contract when they get over here. And this administration is to me is the most tone deaf administration I've ever seen, and the media lets them get away with it. But you can't get away from 13 dead soldiers. You just can't get away from that. You can't get away from the issues of giving up military equipment. Depending on what number you use, upwards of 85 billion, I believe it is. Just the other day, on Bagram Air Force Base, the Taliban did a parade of all the equipment that they now have. Look, I've said it before on this podcast. I'll say it again. The only difference between now and September 10th, 2021, and today is that the Taliban is actually better equipped, better funded. And that's not an exaggeration. Look at it. They control the country. They control the areas. They have subjugated the women again. The women can't go to school. The women are back in burqas. I mean, this is all what we've seen. They've reinstituted basically everything that we saw in the late 1990s and early 2000s. And except for one thing, they actually have better equipment. They couldn't fight at night. Now they got night vision. They had no armored vehicles. Now they got armored vehicles. They have, again, on and on and on. Why do they have this? Because of Joe Biden and Vice President Harris. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are the worst things that could have happened to foreign affairs and our military in this country, because they just don't seem to be concerned, except when it's something they want to prove a point. Now, you say, well, Doug, why is this event so devastating? Well, look what happened after that. After it was shown to be that we showed the world that we were willing to basically cave, leave people we promised, leave the commitments that we made, and also have dead soldiers along the way, then taking off the sanctions and giving money back to Iran, lifting our own energy independence and making us dependent, which would make the oil market for Iran and others begin to grow so they would have more money. They felt empowered. We see them funding, using all that extra money, not to improve the lives of people in Tehran and the rest of Iran, but they're actually making it easier for Houthis in Yemen and Hezbollah and Hamas, which led to the October 7th massacre in Israel. If you don't believe there's a direct connect between Iran and what's going on in the attempted destruction of Israel, then you just are not, you're not trying hard enough. In fact, you're not trying at all. You got Hezbollah in southern Lebanon that is bombing and got caught because Israel found out what they were going to do in just this week and did a preemptive strike. You have leaders in Hezbollah and Hamas masquerading as women or hiding behind them as human shields. That is not anything but cowardness. And if you're listening in the Hamas crowd, even the pro-Hamas crowd here, I don't care what you think. That is a coward's way out. Worse than a coward. If you think you can go and attack Israel, then go do it. But you can't. So you hide behind kids, you kill kids, you rape women. You're pathetic losers, period. But we allowed it because we allowed Iran to get the money and to start distributing that money again. They were broke under the Trump administration. They're not broke now. And then we see the next domino fall, which was Putin going into Ukraine. He knew he wouldn't have to worry about America. America's going to tuck tail and run. Joe Biden didn't have the stomach for it. He kept saying, oh, this will never happen. This will never happen. And then it did happen. Now we're stuck with almost a 2+ year war in Ukraine with no end in sight, except we're just continuing to put billions of dollars into military aid and NGO aid into Ukraine with no discussion on how do we stop this. Joe Biden please go back to the office, or maybe not. But just put somebody in there that'll actually make a decision that could actually bring this war to an end, that could bring the Hamas and Israel war to an end and support Israel and get rid of the terrorist organization called Hamas. But again, it goes back to the gate in Afghanistan. You have China blustering against Korea. You have China still building ports and building infrastructure projects across the globe and in Africa and other places. But this is what you get when the world sees a weak administration. And I'm tired of hearing from left saying, oh, the world respects us again, they like us. No, they can manipulate us. I don't want someone who is not afraid of us in a sense. I want to have the fear, because that fear comes with respect that America will do what is right. And America is the biggest, largest economy in the world, the largest military in the world, the best equipped, the best trained, and the most resilient people, I believe personally, American exceptionalism on this earth. And I'm not going to apologize for that. And I don't, and when you see them patting Joe Biden on the back, when they literally could see him disintegrating mentally before their eyes, they knew that it was their opportunity to be able to step up and to step in the place of the America, which has grown and in stature and world around. Everybody in the world wants to come here because of the freedoms we have, because of the economic conditions we have, because of the safety that we can provide. And yet we're tearing it down from the inside in an administration that has been basically tone deaf to the needs of the American people. But today I'm turning today, because I don't want to continue to get into this, but I believe it started on that day when we lost those lives, precious lives, to a suicide bomber in a place that, frankly, they probably should not have been, in a chaotic situation. And all they were trying to do was get as many people out humanely as they possibly could, because the Biden administration had chosen to turn tail and run. Leave our equipment, leave Bagram Air Force Base. But we were drawing down our troop size anyway. But as long as we had troop size there, the Taliban would have not done what they did. But the minute they saw us leaving, the minute they saw it get down to a situation where they could overwhelm the population by threats and intimidation and the fear in their lives for their sons, their daughters, and their wives and their husbands, then the Taliban won on fear. So as we look at this today, I see it's a contrast. And if you look go out and look on the social media sphere or in the newspapers or the news stations, today you're going to see a balance. Joe Biden is on vacation. Kamala Harris is hiding again from the press. And Donald Trump is out laying a wreath at the Arlington Memorial Seminary for the 13 who perished. He is at a National Guard Association meeting giving a speech. He's been to a restaurant outside of Washington, D.C. Joe Biden is on vacation. Kamala Harris is hiding. This is what you have. So, folks, don't give me all this, paper tiger stuff, the straw man arguments that you had at the Democratic National Convention. Don't try to convince me it's the party of Obama and the party of Clinton and the party of all those that you used to know. This is the party of Vice President Harris, the most liberal senator in the United States Senate, who actually did a terrible job along the way, and can't seem to find the position that she wants to run on. It was the very reason why she didn't gain a delegate at all in when she ran for president back in 2020. In fact, she had to drop out before Iowa. And now they're expecting her all of a sudden to change her mind and to begin to do things more moderately, when this is someone who said, look, I'm going to steal your ideas in your company, your intellectual property, the stuff you have patents and trademarks on. I'm just going to take it because I can. And that destroys innovation and destroys jobs in this country. Do you believe when she said that she wants to ban fracking, and now through an aide on a late night getting with a reporter says, oh, she really is not for getting rid of fracking, but yet that's what she said. Why? Because she won't have any interviews. And she's shown nothing of resolve to do it while she's to get better on the issue while she's been vice president. These are the problems that I find in American discourse, that the American media is much more willing to focus on, what they perceive is against them, and that being Donald Trump and conservatives, instead of focusing with a real true eye toward what's happening when they look at the Democratic Party and Vice President Harris. So as we look at this today, I just want it to be a solemn reminder of what America lost. I want it to be a solemn reminder of those in office. Joe Biden makes the decision. Vice President Harris says she was one of the last people in the room. And in doing so, We see lives that are lost. We see trust in our allies overseas eroded because we did leave them behind. And I want you to remember what kind of country you want. As we go into this election season, do you want a country that is held strong, that holds its allies to the same standards as we have, and making sure that they're putting enough resources and money of their own into protecting their own countries and their own alliances? Or are they just simply trying to get the United States to do it all for them? Are we willing to continue to appease Iran and make sure that they have what they want at the same time, trying to make sure Israel believes that we're on their side? These are all issues that you have to take into account going into that voting booth for this cycle in November, because in the end, it really matters. And if you don't believe so, you just look at the plane coming home with those dead soldiers. That's a reminder. Those Marines mean more than any bad decision for political purposes that could have ever been done. So with that, we remember them. With that, we look ahead. And with that, that's what America First needs to fight against, because we need our military back in control of doing what it does best. And we need a president and a commander-in-chief who's willing to make the hard calls, but also protect those that are under his charge. With that, we'll see you on Wednesday. Take care.